As the god-worshipping game activates, Jinwoo and the rest of the party are put on a roller coaster ride of emotion, thinking that all of them can die anytime. Fear and despair swallow them alive as the number of the party continues to decrease. Fortunately, the one they call the world's weakest hunter turns out to have the world's sharpest mind, unlocking each commandment's mystery and giving them another chance to live. However, as human selfishness rises above all, hypocrisy and betrayal becomes their last resort. Let's find out if the ugly, poor, and loser of a hunter will make his way out of this hopeless place. Mr. Song approaches Jinwoo and asks how he knew about it, but he replies that he just senses danger. Jinwoo then notices that Mr. Song's arm is missing, but the old man says it's okay and asks him to help him stop the bleeding. Jinwoo wraps bandages around Mr. Song's arm, and he reveals that he has been into some B-rank dungeon raids before. To him, one thing is for sure: the dungeon that they decided to explore is an S-rank dungeon. Mr. Song tells Jinwoo that it is a bad idea to fight the statue because that would mean a certain death for them. He then tells everyone that they should find a way to escape that horrible place safely. However, one of the hunters loses his straight way of thinking out of despair and declares his refusal to die like an animal in the slaughterhouse. Turns out that he just signed a contract with a major guild, and he told everyone that he wouldn't die in that place no matter what. The guy starts running forward, mentioning that he is confident in his abilities because he claims to be faster than the Flash. However, the biggest statue looks at him and destroys him instantly, leaving only his toasted feet. Everyone starts to panic, and Jinwoo wonders why the statue hasn't killed them all yet. Then, Jinwoo's brain starts braining, and he realizes that it must have something to do with the written commandments. That said, he starts thinking that perhaps the unknown dungeon has some special rules. He then gets up and notices the statue preparing to obliterate his very existence, but he suddenly kneels down and notices the statue stop the attack. Upon figuring out what to do, he tells everyone to kneel down facing the biggest statue, revealing that as long as their heads are below a certain height, the statue won't attack them. This turned out to be the first commandment: worship the god. Everyone follows his actions and the statue's eyes deactivate. All of a sudden, they celebrate because the statue won't attack them. But for some unknown reason, Jinwoo knows that there's more to it than meets the eye. He knows to himself that it isn't over yet because the statue gets up and starts walking forward. Jinwoo mentions they need to follow the command, and now they must praise the god. Suddenly, a random guy steps forward, claiming that he knows how to praise a god. That said, the guy starts praying. However, Jinwoo realizes this guy is praying to the wrong god, so the statue smiles like a horror movie and steps on him, squashing him like a tomato. Everyone panics and starts running as the second part of the purge starts, with the biggest statue chasing down everyone to meet their ends. Mr. Park runs near a statue, but that statue moves and slices him in half. Jinwoo takes Juhee's hand and runs. While looking around, he notices there are some statues with musical instruments and tells everyone to get near one of those statues. The statue starts playing the instrument and they feel relieved because they have been spared. Jinwoo and Juhee manage to reach a statue, but it doesn't play because it will only activate if there is only one person near it. Jinwoo begins running away, looking for the next statue, but the biggest one starts chasing him. It almost steps on him, but he manages to avoid it when rolling towards another one. The statue with a shield also tries to kill him by crushing its giant shield on him. Jinwoo narrowly manages to avoid fatal damage as he crawls his way to the next statue. The biggest statue is still walking behind him and prepares to step on him. Suddenly, the statue that Jinwoo is crawling to began singing. Then, the biggest statue sits down on its throne. This only means that the second commandment has been fulfilled. Juhee did not waste any time as she immediately checked Jinwoo's condition. Unfortunately, upon looking down, she notices that Jinwoo lost his foot. She tries to heal him with all her cell regenerating powers, but ended up coughing and tearing blood due to excessive usage of his ability. Soon enough, the group starts to blame Mr. Song for their situation. Mr. Song apologizes for forcing them into a decision and decides to bear all responsibility. Suddenly, an altar ascended in the middle of the room. Everyone is confused and scared because they know another disaster will happen. However, Jinwoo says that the final commandment to prove their loyalty to the god. One of the members who voted yes grabs his sword and points it at Mr. Song, mentioning they need a sacrifice. Since Mr. Song claimed that he would take responsibility, he decided to accept his fate and walk toward the altar. Suddenly, a flame appears around the altar and Jinwoo gets confused. With the altar lit, Jinwoo asks if they can take him to the altar so that he can check it. When the three reach near the altar, 3 more flames appear around it. Jinwoo thinks that if they fail in the last stage, the biggest statue will run wild into their world. Elsewhere, Jinha goes to the hospital to visit her mother, like she does every day. She talks about her day and future plans. Back inside the dungeon, Jinwoo tells Joo-hee and the rest of the members of the party to come to the altar. More flames appear and a new ring of blue flames appear around the dungeon door. Suddenly, the huge door opens and one of the blue flames disappears. The statue then starts moving toward the altar, making everyone feel the mud butt coming on in their pants. Jinwoo looks around and notices the statues won't move if they look at them. Everyone follows his instructions and the statues stop moving. However, one member started running away from the circle to secure survival. One of the normal flames was extinguished, but she managed to leave the room. The door, however, is starting to close. Jinwoo thinks that this is a trap because the last commandment is to prove their loyalty to the god. To him, the door is just to test everyone's faith in the statue. However, another guy throws Jinwoo aside before running toward the door. More people think about leaving, but Jinwoo explains that if the blue flames are extinguished, everyone will be able to escape. Suddenly, a guy thanks Jinwoo for allowing them to survive, but he starts to cry and apologizes before running away. Jinwoo starts crying, asking why they betrayed him. Mr. Song ordered Joo-hee and Jinwoo to escape while he stays behind. However, Joo-hee's legs give up and she falls to the ground. He angrily shouts at her that he has no foot, so he cannot help her move. Jinwoo tells Mr. Song to take Joo-hee with him. However, she starts complaining about his poor decisions in life. Just then, Mr. Song knocks her out because they're running out of time. Mr. Song then carries Joo-hee outside the door. Jinwoo notices a sword on the ground and picks it up, promising that he will take down one of the statues to be his best buddy in hell. The statues attack him, making him lose one arm, followed by several other attacks. He screamed in pain and agony, mentioning that he also wanted to become stronger, but he couldn't. After several attacks, he's barely alive but refuses to give up. The statue, however, impaled his shoulder, and he began remembering those who had just betrayed him, trying to justify their action by mentioning their family. To him, what they did was all selfishness, because he also has a family that he wants to return to and take care of. In the end, the statue throws him onto the altar. While preparing for the last strike that will end his miserable life, he cries and wishes to have another chance to live. When the last blue flame goes out, a system appears before him and a message pops up asking if he wants to become a player. When he says yes, another screen congratulates Jinwoo for officially becoming a player. So begins Jinwoo's legend of leveling in a fantastical way.